Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what we're going to make are molasses cookies. But what made this recipe, well, I thought really kind of special, is that it has a baked on frosting. So I'll explain. I've never seen this done on a cookie before, so when I found this, I was intrigued to want to give it a try. Okay, so let's get started. First, you're going to start off with brown sugar, and you're going to be needing 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. I'm using my stand-up mixer. You certainly can use your hand mixer. I find it, quicker for my videos to do it. Now, this is going to be needing 1/2 cup of your solid shortening. Now, some of you don't like using shortening or whatever, then maybe this is not the recipe for you. If you are looking for molasses cookies or spice cookies, I have several on my channel, so you can, check out that if you'd rather not make this one because of the shortening. But it's 1/2 cup. So I'm going to put that in with the brown sugar, and I'm going to cream it together. I'm going to warn you about the sound. Now, spend a few minutes till it's nicely creamed together. I like to raise my speed and try to move it along for you. But you do want to cream it well together. All right. The next thing that we're going to be putting in, of course, is molasses, and you're going to need 2/3 of a cup of this. Any brand that you prefer, of course. And we'll put that in there. I'm going to try to get it all out, though, because this really is very thick, so it really likes to stay inside the bowl. Okay, I think I got it all out. That was 2/3 of a cup of the molasses, and we're going to beat that in till it's smooth. Warn you about the sound of the mixer. You're also going to beat in 1 egg at room temperature, just till it's all smooth. Now, I want to get in there to the sides and to the bottom of my bowl with my spatula here, where it tends to stick. And then I'll show you what I have so far. Okay. And this is what it will look like. I hope you can see that so far. All right. I hope you can see that. All right, now we'll work on our dry ingredients. You're going to be needing 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to be putting in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ginger, ground ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm sorry, that wasn't the salt. That was actually baking soda. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and this is the salt. And the salt is 1/2 teaspoon. So let me go over that to clarify. You do want, as I put in, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, and I'm going to take my spoon and just bring it in together. Now, again, I'm sorry about making that mistake. Now, I won't be putting the recipe below with all the ingredients. I've been mentioning it in all my videos. I really kind of reluctantly stopped doing that because so many people are taking my videos, bringing them to different sites, claiming them as theirs, and it's just not worth the time anymore. So I'm really sorry about that, but I try to explain the recipes clearly enough, and that you'll be able to get it if you're writing it down. Okay, so I just went ahead and I just brought that dry ingredients together, and then I'm going to slowly add it to this till it makes a cookie dough. And we'll just put a little at a time, and we'll do that at slow speed so that the dry ingredients don't go all over the kitchen. Just turn that back on. I'm going to raise my speed up a little bit. Put the rest of the dry in. And this is where I'm going to raise my speed, so again, warn you about the sound of the mixer. Now, at this point, you'll probably think you've done something wrong because it becomes very dry and very crumbly. But it is forming a cookie dough. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is forming, so stay with it. I'm cleaning the bottom and getting to my sides to make sure that everything is being combined. It is a heavy dough at this point, a kind of a wet, moist dough, but the cookies are not dense or heavy though. I want you to stay with that, even though it's a crumbly mixture, but you're going to be able to check on it by, pulling it together with your fingertips. And if it's not coming together the way that you think it should, then again, you're going to need to put it back on and mix it. Okay? And then now I'm just finishing up with my hands. Okay, and like I said, it is a dry, crumbly mixture, and it looks like you've probably done something wrong, but it will form, as you see, a cookie dough. Now, I do have some already that I made ahead, and I put it in the refrigerator. Now, you might find that the cookie dough is easier to roll out if it's been chilled, but you don't have to. I've done it both ways and it's worked out really fantastic. So let me rinse my hands quickly, grab that cookie dough that I've had chilled for a little bit here, and I want to show you that. And this is actually half of what you're going to get. Now, I make about a 3-inch cookie. This is about half of it right here. And I get anywhere from 3 to 3, well, like a total of 3.5 dozen of cookies if they're about 3 inches. So then you need some flour, of course, on your work board, counter, whatever you're using. Okay. And I'm using my large rolling pin. I really enjoy using this because it's from one of my parents' restaurants from many years ago when my family was in the restaurant and catering business. So there's a lot of memories with this this rolling pin because we used it, in a commercial kitchen. and I love using it. And then just roll out your dough to about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. Now you will need a baking pan or a baking sheet. Go ahead and use your parchment paper if you want, or your mats. I just heavily greased mine. And then you can use whatever shape of a cookie cutter that you want. Of course, if you make them about 3 inches, you'll yield that many cookies, as I mentioned to you. But the larger that you make them, of course, you're going to get less of them. Now, you're going to bake these cookies at 350 degrees, and they could take you anywhere from 7 to 8 minutes. They come up very quick. You don't want to over bake them because you don't want them to become, very, very dry, that type of thing. But what's kind of nice about them is this dough rolls out quite nice. I'm going to lift a couple just to show you to work with, and then I would suggest to put them at least 1 inch apart on your pan, your baking pan, okay? And I always start checking mine oh my gosh, I start checking mine around 4 minutes or so, because our ovens set up so differently. They really do. So you don't want to dry this cookie out, you don't want to burn them, you don't want to over bake them, that kind of thing. So I'm just placing these on. And if you don't use too much flour, you're going to be able to re-roll this without a lot of problems, or making the cookie really dense, that kind of thing. It really, I'll put that aside because I'll be doing that after I'm done with the video. But use whatever type of cookie cutter that you like. Now, to get to the point about how do we make a frosting that gets baked into the cookie. Now, for some of you, maybe you've done this before or you've heard this recipe, but for me, it was a new one. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of water in my microwave, because I want it to be, it doesn't have to be hot, but we do want it to be warm. Warm water. And all you're going to need is, of the water, 1.5 teaspoons of hot water. Now what you're going to do is you're going to need 1/3 of a cup of margarine. I find works best, and just let it sit out, that it'll be in a softened state. Now in this small bowl I have 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour. I'm putting 1/3 of a cup of margarine in, and then I'm going to add the 1.5 teaspoons of water. So then just start cutting in the butter with the flour. Could use a fork. I just had the knife handy, so I'm using that. And then cut that in. And then put the 1.5 teaspoons of hot water in there. And I like to heat it in the microwave because it's so fast. And then just stay with it till it forms like a frosting. And it really will. I just don't want to take a lot of your time up to show you, but it really does come together. Looks almost, like it almost looks like a buttercream frosting when you're done. There we go. You can really kind of see. Yeah, it still needs some more mixing, but you can kind of see what it looks like. Now, what I did ahead of time is that I put it in a pastry bag with a small tip. But you can use, you know, a plastic bag and cut the end of a Ziploc bag, that kind of thing. And if you're really handy with decorating, you can do whatever design that you want or that kind of thing, you know. So I'm just gonna, whoops, I'm just gonna put some little polka dots down here. And if you're really, you know, really good with the pastry bag and whatever, you're going to have no problem at all. My hand is not always the steadiest, unfortunately. And what else I like to do is, if I can do this right now while I'm on camera, not too much pressure here. You can write a person's name or whatever little message that you want. You know, it's not going to be the type of frosting that you're used to for cakes or anything, but you kind of, hopefully you can kind of see I wrote the name Tom here. Okay, and then let me just push these little dots down. Like I said, you know, you can be as creative as you want to be, that kind of thing. And what I like about it, if you don't like it, just take your finger and just pull it right off. You know, you don't like the design or whatever, you can actually do that, and, you know. So it's going to be up to you, and many of you, I'm sure, are so creative and very good at writing and all that type of thing. But that really isn't my expertise. Okay, so let me wash my hands quickly, and I'll show you. This one actually didn't come out too badly. Okay, but if you can really write well and do those designs, and in decorating, you know, they're going to come out really cute. But let me wash my hands because I'm working with raw egg and cookie dough, and I want to show you what they look like when they're baked up. And this is how they'll turn out. I don't know whether or not if you can see it, but I put the name Tom and the name Carl on these, and then I did the ones with just the little polka dots. Now, this particular cookie will have a crisp top, hard top and hard bottom, and then when you break into it, you'll hear that nice crack to it. Really nice crispy cookie. Okay, and I don't know if I showed you or not, but how nicely the bottom is. On the bottom, and here, this one, not too bad. The name Tom on that, and I have one with Carl. And again, they are a great tasting little cookie. They're fun to make, and I think what made it really kind of, I thought, intrigued me was that with this baked on frosting idea is I had to try it. Now, if you try this recipe and you like it, well, leave a comment because I'd like to hear from you. But I also want to remind you, and not bore you with this, but you need to watch me on YouTube, because many times you write to me or have questions or comments, and you're not on YouTube, it's on a whole nother site, and I see your questions, I can't answer you, and it's very, very frustrating. So please check me out and watch me solely, because that's the only place I put my videos, is on YouTube. If you're so inclined and you'd like to subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. Ring the bell, give me a like. I appreciate any time that you put into watching my videos or taking the time to write me, and I will answer you in a timely fashion. Okay, so thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and I'll see you soon.